Welcome to the Making You, an accurate reflection of Christ podcast, where you become translucent glory. Now here's your host and glory teacher, Karen Pina.
Kingdom greetings. I'm popping in with an announcement about Season 3 of the Make Me an Accurate Reflection of Christ podcast. Typically, a new podcast season resumes the first week of January. However, we are geographically ascending in the month of January. With that being said, I am not committing to starting in the first week. The podcast may resume the second or the third week, or even in the first week of February. Don't you just love your honest host? I'm not only honest, I will never leave your spiritual plate empty. There is some spiritual food for you between now and then. In fact, I have prepared a feast in the form of a guidebook on translation. I'm going to let you in on one of our sessions with our disciples so that you can get a good idea of the book concept. Enjoy this pre-recorded discipleship session. Then head on over to Amazon or write down in the resources of this podcast to pick up the paperback and the ebook. That's right. You want to have both of these formats in your possession during these times, just in case you need to jump into another world. Before I close, share the book information with someone who is crying out to God for a break from this mad world. And if you celebrate the holidays, enjoy Jesus and your spiritual and your natural family. Blessings, and you'll hear from me real soon. Enjoy this pre-recorded session.
So translation is not just about, I can do this by faith, or if I just have faith, he can translate me. No, it's so much more than that. It's so much bigger than that. I'm not saying that faith is not a component of translation. It is, and it's a huge component, but a bigger component is who you are. A bigger component is he's taking me somewhere to make me someone. Think about it. When you go on a trip, any trip you've ever been on, you experience things. And when you come back, you feel like a different person, right? Because of what you experienced. My husband and I went to St. Lucia years ago, and we stayed a whole month. And when we came back, it was like we were new people. I had so many powerful encounters with God, one of which I would get up every morning because we were looking right at the Twin Pitons and the view of the water, and I'd jump up every morning and go look outside the window at the water and the pitons. And I'll never forget it, like maybe the fifth or sixth day, he spoke to me and he said, Karen, it's the same. The view is the same, is what he was referring to. He said, it hasn't changed. He says, the ocean is as constant as I am. He says, and that's what I want you to be. I want you to be as constant as the ocean. I change not. Hebrews 13. And so I didn't just go to St. Lucia for a month to enjoy the food, although it was good, to enjoy the sights, although there were so many beautiful things that I saw. No, he took me there on that trip, my husband and I, so that I can become as constant as the ocean. So translation is about who you become, not just what you will experience or see in the heavenlies. What I'm referring to is really the prerequisites to translation, and we don't hear a lot about that when people teach on translation. When people teach on translation, again, the only prerequisite is typically faith. There is no, how do I posture myself to translate? And in this book, you're going to receive some keys, a whole slew of them, 10 to 11 keys that you can tangibly get postured for translation. This is in pathway number 4. Okay, so there are some prerequisites to translation, and they extend way beyond just having faith. In fact, faith is not really a prerequisite. Faith is a way to translate. It's a way. It's not a prerequisite. Okay, so there are various ways that you can translate. And in pathway number 6, I go over those ways. Okay, 7 to be specific. So faith is a way to translate. It is not a prerequisite for translation. Wow. I know that just tipped over some sacred cows, but that's why you need to read Translate Me. That's why. One of the reasons why. There are many great ones. All right, you all. So, and we can just keep going like this. I hope you see how I'm working and talking to you too.
Yes.
I mean, it just hit me, and I'm like, why not? Let's just turn this into a working session because we're doing ministry together, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes. I love it. I love it.
Why
Me
not?
too.
Do you remember that movie? It was a movie not too long ago. I don't know, maybe 10 years or so ago. And it was about a man who was jumping. Remember that? I think it was called Jump. But he was jumping, and he was literally like going into different locations, right? There's nothing new under the sun, Solomon said, right? And jump and leap, they are terms that are associated biblically with translation. So you can leap somewhere, you can jump someplace, and so again, you will be able to see and identify the ways, the various ways, okay, to translate in this piece of porterhouse steak. That's all I can keep calling it. So yeah, and also I talk about my first Translate Me attempt, and you'll get to learn a little about what I did wrong, because sometimes we, especially if we think of someone as a spiritual giant, and in this social media age, most people's sharing is censored, it's scripted, it's planned. How much do I want to share? How much do I don't want to share? And it's always going to be in the light that makes most look like spiritual giants. However, what I do and what I've always wanted is I want you to tell me what didn't work, not just tell me what did work, because I want to learn from people who made some mistakes, because we can learn that way too. So you'll hear about my first Translate Me attempt, what went right, what went wrong, and what I learned, and then all the places that I was able to go after that as a result of this attempt. So
I love the fact that you shared that first so that people have an understanding and not just thinking that, okay, this is it, and then you may be possibly doing something that can hinder or delay your translations and not even know it, because the person who actually authored it never gave any type of scenario of what can happen if you're not postured for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that was the intro to, hey, I needed to reposture myself. And because then you can see the expansion of the translation experiences afterward.
Yes. And do you also see that right from the beginning, I'm setting the tone.
Yes.
I wasn't what I should be to translate.
Yes.
See that, Natasha? I wasn't what I should be.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's powerful.
Wow.
See that, Natasha? Powerful, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are some of your takeaways? How far are you into this? And
It's about who you're becoming. That did something to me too, because again, just as you were sharing, a lot of times we focus on, we went here, and it's about, this is what I did or what I saw. But I had this image, as you were talking about, of who we're becoming. I just had this image of Christ, and knowing that when we're translating, like, we're seeing things as Christ has seen. We're going places that Christ is. And it transcended this, I saw heaven, and as opposed to, I am experiencing something as Christ. Like, I'm able to go as Christ went. There's no limits. That's a big difference than just saying, this is what I saw, I'm excited. But when you walk away and you say, I'm encountering things that Christ has encountered and is encountering, and we're one, so we're doing this together. And the fact that the Lord has done a work in me and removed things and purified me and has brought me to a level that I can even translate, I'm becoming more of an accurate reflection of Christ. Just, wow. Thank you so much. Wow.
Okay. I want to share something. Plenty of people translate to heaven. However, when they return, they are the same, right? No difference, no transformation. What I'm learning is that when he translates you to heaven, you don't just go. You bring back the essence of heaven. You bring back a deposit, a piece, a portion of heaven. If you think about when we pray, right, and we talk about binding and loosing, Matthew 18, and we say whatsoever you bind in heaven, right, will be bound in earth, and whatsoever you loose in heaven will be loose in the earth. Well, if you take that same principle, it's a key, right? That's a spiritual key. You take that same principle and you apply it to translating to heaven, then you are bringing heaven back to earth, right? So you don't just, again, go, you go for a purpose. He wants to get heaven into the earth. If we don't need more heaven, my Father, in this earth right now, I don't know what we need. We need more heaven in this earth. So that's why it is time for you and I to live a life of translation. It's time for you and I to live out the Enoch principle, which you'll learn about in the Translate Me book. It's just time. It's time for you to start living like Elijah and like Enoch, and therefore able to not just walk like them, but to have experiences that are akin to them. It's high time. Mahasuvanama. It's high time for you, my Father, to get your feet up off of the ground. It's high time for you to leap and jump into heaven. It's high time for you to actualize being like a Clark Kent walking into a phone booth and coming out in a different location. It's high time for you to be able to rely on spiritual travel more than natural travel. Look, right now you can't even go anywhere. You can't go to a Caribbean island if you really wanted to. Everything is kind of locked down, landlocked, if you will. But spiritual travel, wow. It can't be hindered. There are laws and there are principles that you'll learn about, but no one's going to lock down translation. You might not be able to go on a plane. You may not be able to travel in a car. The Holy Spirit can take you at any given moment. And He can take you in a multiplicity of ways. I talk about some of the common ways and some of the not so common biblical ways in this book. So, heaven into earth is the aim. We need more heaven in this earth. Not just on the earth, but in this earth, in your earthen vessel. You need more heaven. You need to occupy more of heaven. And in this book, we'll assess exactly how much heaven you are actually occupying. And the more you occupy, the more you want to be there with Him. Just like Enoch.
Thanks for listening to today's podcast. To discuss and learn more about this episode, join your Glory community at www.gloryschoolcommunity.com. Finally, be sure to sign up for the RSS feed to know when the next episode is uploaded.